Recorded March 24th, 2025. Good afternoon, Ray. Good afternoon, Rod. There is no slacker called Brody on the show today. How's everyone doing?
Fairly well.
All
Nice
right.
voice, by the way. Nice intro
Yeah.
voice.
Yeah, man. That's my post-flu voice. Even though I haven't had the flu. So where's that
It's
coming
sort of
from?
sexy, though. You should keep it that way.
I know, right?
Yeah.
I get that James Earl Jones. Luke, you are my father. Wait a minute.
Luke, you were
Luke, you're my. I think you need to
Right.
rewatch that. You need to rewatch
that is the
movie.
spinoff. They got a flux capacitor. This is they cross streams in the franchise.
Yeah. Well, anyway.
Yeah. And you know what happens when you cross streams? Everybody knows that.
Yeah.
You see how many franchises I hit? It's like can't stop, won't stop. I like see.
It's like you prepared.
Yeah.
I'm just,
Hey, to our listeners out there, no, we're not late. Our guest had to make an adjustment because she is super important and connected, and she had a very important meeting. So we transitioned the call to 5:30. So you get 15 extra minutes of us, the three amigos, the three stooges here today.
I'm Curly.
It's so hard to ask,
Mo.
to ask what you've done today because it's Monday, and when we used to do Wednesday, we could talk about what we've done since Monday, Tuesday, and a little bit of weekend, and what we were planning on doing the rest of the week for work, and then the weekend. But Rod had to have us move to Monday, and the only thing I can remember is barbecuing yesterday. That was barbecuing yesterday.
Well,
In short,
there, I'm sure.
yeah, it was a nice time. I did some tech stuff though. Believe it or not, I did a bunch of reading. I went back in just because I have a rule. If I start a book,
You have to finish it.
and I finish it, and if I go more than what is it, 6 months, and I didn't completely read the book, I go back and I reread it. So it took me 2 hours to blaze through Rod's Must Learn KQL book. I read from cover to cover. So I had this dude's right a month out from me not reading his Learn KQL in a month. It's actually not bad.
But it took you 6 months, so it's actually Learn KQL in 6 months.
Well, what happens is I talk to you every day, so it's like I was reading a book. That's what I was doing, and what I end up doing and peed me off. I'm still old school. I like to highlight stuff, and I'm like, oh my god, I just highlighted this book. That was a signed copy you sent me too. I'm like, so now
did you buy it and then send it to Rod for him to sign, and then he sent it back?
Yeah.
What? Where's my copy?
You didn't send it to him.
Yeah. Did you send me a copy?
Okay, I have to send you the. Okay, I got it.
Rod,
I might have extra copies, Ray. You probably wouldn't have to do that.
So all Rod's old books from 2005.
Oh my goodness,
9. Yeah. I have them. I found them.
He sent me like 8 books,
and he signed them all for me. All the SMS, all the System Center stuff. I have them all over my library. So all the books signed by Rod. His signed 50 books.
He doesn't want to give me his signature because I get it. It's fine.
Well, you know what you do. They know about me. Yeah.
I get it.
Hey, they got her. Yeah. Well, anyway, I
have to show my Tinka hat. I forgot to put it on. I'm sorry. This whole week.
So you did get it? Oh, excellent.
I got it. Thank you so much. And then my daughter took it off my head and she wore it because she was like, "This is amazing." And then
I love it.
Yeah. It's beautiful. I have to find it as soon as Brody joins us. I'm gonna go.
Well, so to our listeners, this is just a free. The show will start and we'll become adults at 5:30. Where we do our 15 to 20 minutes before our guest, and then our guest will be on. And so, yeah, good weekend. Drink some good liquor, barbecue. Find out I ruptured a disc in my back, but I'll be all right.
That's some rough barbecuing.
Because he's carrying the weight of the show. He's like, I gotta do the heavy lifting.
My wife likes her meat fresh, so I grab a pig. And
I actually like the real story, how you injured your back better.
Yeah. Because some girl farted on me at the gym and it scared me, and I dropped the weights.
How aggressive was that flatulence? Like, what was going on there?
We were doing some hit stuff. We were lifting the weights, and she squatted. When she squatted, she equalized pressure, started her. She screamed. I thought she dropped the weight on her foot. I startled. Instead of throwing the weight down, I tried to hold on to it, and the snap, crackle, and pop wasn't zero. My back
That would scare me.
And I'm down for 4 weeks. So no running. Luckily, it just hurt the stabilization muscles. Every time I stick a needle in my back, long as my hand, I was like, you can keep that.
You've never given birth before? That's nothing. That's nothing.
Yeah, well, I'm not.
Okay.
And I'm not even going to touch that subject. But no, it could have been much worse. Being in shape. Do not underestimate the benefits of just being in shape. It will protect you from injuries, and it will definitely help you come back from injuries, right? As long as you're not some workout nut that you miss a workout and you start cutting yourself or something. Like if I make it there, I do. Yeah. Oh, don't do that, man. We encourage all our listeners not to cut themselves.
No self-injury, everyone. Yeah. Okay. Your mental health is so critical.
Yes, do that too. So yeah, that's why I drink beer. Beer is happy water. Beer is water with dreams.
Water?
Yeah. You get beer, it's just they take the dreams and they put the dreams in the water, and then that's beer.
That's how I feel about gin. Big shout out to Gunpowder Gin.
Yes. Gunpowder is one of my favorites.
Oh, it's so good. It is so good.
I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13,
Baker's dozen.
14
bottles of just gunpowder, because I used to have a bunch of bottles, but then
15 different gins on my bar.
I thought it was confirmed falls from drinking gin.
Gin make you sin. That's the difference.
Yeah, well, it's fine. We're all welcome in the arms of the good Lord. At the end of the day,
arms of the good Lord. It makes you preach too. It looks like. So to all our listeners, this is the happy show. We do have lives. We're just not regular maniacal, security geniuses around here. We have lives. We do nothing. I call Rod sometimes just to say. Nothing. This weekend was dad joke weekend. I got a few. Let's not dad jokes time. Ray, you got to be a dad. Dad joke? Like a dad joke. You can be a mom.
Yeah, D-A-D. Dad, like a father joke.
I'm from the South.
D-E-A-D.
and D-E-A-D sit the same way here in the South. You're dead.
Oh, Lord.
My dad is dead.
Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord. Okay. Well, you just got, okay. Seize the day, because tomorrow you might be dead. That's it's from Buffy. That's a quote from Buffy.
Yeah. Hey.
So
what did the father buffalo say to the son when he left him? Bison.
Bison? Oh, bison. That's cute. That's a cute one. That's a good one.
Hey, you want to hear something? I only know 25 alphabets. I don't know why.
The alphabets? You mean oh my goodness.
Dad jokes.
This is like backstage for the show. This is the conversation that our listeners generally don't get to hear, because we do this before and after the show. People don't realize.
It actually comes off the rail. We become juvenile.
So this is like a security secret. This is our backstage before our guests show up.
And then I tell you, I was in the superstore and this guy assaulted me with a carton of milk. How dare he?
That was funny. That was a good one.
Oh yeah.
I
can do alcohol-induced consumption. Man, we're going to be a total mess when I guess get on. I hope
nobody's going to be a mess. What is going? Am I the only one? I know how to I was supposed to be not at the MVP summit, but I was going to go because I have points. Because I was going to go and use my points and then hang out with people like Henrik and Mona from Blue Voyant. Shout out to
Mona
and Femka. She's going to be there too. Yes, and Morton. Yep. But I didn't go. I canceled because I had labs that made me upset with things. So now I just need to get an MRI to make sure my tumor's not growing. But you Broadway, baby, you just slap on a smile and you're like, oh my goodness, this weekend was a chaotic whirlwind. But it's always an adventure. This is what you do. You got to just keep, you just like
Vogue.
the show must go on.
The show must go on.
Did you say Vogue? Yes.
I did say Vogue. I did say Vogue.
You do.
Yeah.
We're blessed. We got our health of a sort. We got each
We have
other.
our health of a sort, not our mental health. Who needs that?
I do. Yeah.
Hey, do you realize this is our last, before next week's big full day Women in Cyber event that we're doing for the first time?
Yeah, no more Women in Cyber after this.
Yeah, this is our last. Well, I mean, this is the last one for this month. I mean, how many episodes have we had? 8 so far, and then got the full day next Monday, the 31st. I hope everybody tunes in. It's gonna be awesome.
Well, it's wild because you and Edward have been so vigilant and so invested in making sure that there is a spotlight on the women that are kicking ass in the industry. And obviously it's just a sliver, right?
Yeah.
You can't get everybody all at we can't have shows nonstop because we also have to keep the lights on in our homes. We got adult responsibilities. That said, I want to give a shout out to you for making sure that the platform recognizes and celebrates the impact that women have had, continue to have, and will continue to have in cyber all up. So thank you, Edward and Roland.
Well, I just think it's important for people to consider. It should be an all year thing, but at the same time, the more you talk about it, I think it more evident it is that it's a necessary thing.
To have women,
we still have this huge gap, right? I think, and to be honest, we've done this as our 3rd year, and I think early on, the first year that the discussions we had, it was an unprecedented gap. But I'm not saying that it's something that we've done to improve it, but I think at least having that conversation, I think it's gotten better, really. At least I know that it has within Microsoft, but maybe the industry is.
Well, you have Noodle. I mean, it could be worse. Noodle's a case study.
No, and shout out to Noodle. So I just realized, like, the Clark Kent Superman, like the alter ego persona, but he definitely gave us a heads up on somebody wonderful that we're going to have on the show in June, I believe. And I do have to respond to Anna's inquiry. I think she very delightfully asked if it's remote or if she has to like fly. I was like,
you should say fly in. That would have been the answer. You have to fly in. Just go to the airport with your bags, walk to the runway. Don't worry about security. It's our private jet. They're going to try to stop you. They're just testing you.
The way Rod is able to get in anywhere. Microsoft, he's like, oh, that thing, yeah. I was going to do the backstage thing, but I said no, I can't get in anywhere. I like literally. Like,
well, I'm an anti-Rod. Every place he's been in, I've been thrown out of. Oh yeah, shit. You know the MVPs? I've been thrown out of it. I've been thrown out of so many Ignites. I was thrown out of Ignite when they were putting the sticks together. Yeah, there you go. Hey, what did Sushi A say to Sushi B?
Oh, no.
Wasabi.
I feel like I need to hit the gunpowder a little bit.
Somebody's in the mood today. You tell someone went to the doctor and they got taken care of to relieve their back pain today.
They just gave you cortisone.
Yeah, that's not all.
Oh, Lord. Then you should not be having Red Cup security, okay? You should not.
Yes. Absolutely.
This is this is like an after school special, okay? And we should be having an intervention, but we're not. We're just like, ha, 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 laughing. And then Brody's going to come in and he's going to be like, you guys, the lesson here was we saw somebody in pain, okay? You failed. You guys, you need to go back, learn the module. So just tell us what you need, Edward. We will provide it to you.
I got a question for you.
No more questions. What is it?
Here it comes.
What looks like a half a tree?
It's Brody.
The other half?
Yep. The other half.
The other half, the beer company.
No, never heard of it.
Oh, the
That's
other
weird.
half. That's literal. That was literal.
The
That
other
was-
half of the tree.
No, I
Yeah.
got it. Yes. I got
Yeah.
that. But there's also a beer company. The other
Called the
half.
other half?
Called the
Yeah.
other half? Really?
Other
We
half.
need to get an alcohol and a beer sponsor. That's how you know you're legitimate.
Oh, it
Like
is.
we can get Molson or Labatt beer to sponsor us from Canada.
No, you should get Medalla. That's
Yes,
British.
the beer champions. We can go. This show is brought to you by Molson Lager, made in the
Molson,
51st
why do you
state
pick this
of the
beer?
fine United States of America.
I think he has probably a poster on the wall that we can't see.
Who, me?
Yeah, because it's Molston or whatever. Yeah.
I don't know what's on the wall. I got the schedule up here. Hey, guess what?
Brody,
Recorded March 24th, 2025, the official start of the Microsoft Security Insight podcast, where we now become adults and serious. Hello, Ray. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm happy to know that Brody makes a mature atmosphere. Okay.
I know everybody got serious when Brody showed up.
we were frightened. It's I was more scared than if someone farted.
Oh Lord.
Yeah, and then you dropped the weight.
You weren't there
Yeah.
for the story, the tale. He overcame the terror.
Edward has hurt his back because some lady farted on him in the gym.
Oh, well, that's an unfortunate series of events.
Yeah. It's
We're making a mockery of this show today.
No, nobody's doing. How
It sounds like you have a personal security concern.
I knew it. I didn't. I mean, it was biological warfare, man. I'm barely
Mhm.
alive, you know.
We can tie everything back to security.
always.
All right. So, gentlemen and gentle ladies, guess what I got to show you guys? So, some good stuff this week. Brody, what did you do this week? I mean, what did you do last week since we had the show last Monday? You break anything? I'm sure you did.
I am working on a few. I've been starting to get looped in on some more pre-sales opportunities at work because they need help and I need experience. I haven't done that in a few years, so I'm involved in a pretty intense RFP that's been interesting to like review the details on and the whole process and whatnot. It's been a while since I've been on an RFP, probably like a year and a half. So Azure security, we'll just call it. Very interesting, high profile potential customer. So that was a big part of my time between last time we spoke, and also working with the customer on some data security and governance concerns that they have, or potential customer, I should say. Well, they are a customer and they could be more of a customer, I guess. Yeah. And then outside of that, just a big portion of my week has been focused on some key deliverables for my public sector customer around like identity design, Azure policy architecture, archetypes and landing zones. And it's been full on. Yeah, it's been full on. Every day's been busy, basically just jammed up the whole time. And then I went snowboarding on Sunday and it's fantastic. So I was happy. My friend and I went and we always seem to find some snow, regardless if there's been overnight snow or not. So we found some surprisingly good snow in some good spots. And we just never warm up. We just go right into it. And we never warm up. We always got to go pick some black run to start with, and then just basically like exhaust ourselves within 4 hours, and then get in the car and laugh about the whole thing. It was a good time. Yeah.
Hey, our guest is here, so let's get our guest on. Add to the stage. Hello. She's like, which way? Which way? Hello, Ritu. How are you doing?
Hello. Sorry, guys. I was just looking for my unmute button.
Oh, it's fine. Thank you so much. We were just, we generally do the show where we come in, we talk about some security updates and things. We're probably going to save to all our listeners. We'll do a post cap, not a pre cap or whatever it is about all the happenings in this. But we have our guest on. We want to make sure we make the best use of her time, which is at a premium. Thank you so much for coming on the show. And participating in our Women in Cyber Month, our third annual Women in Cybersecurity Month. Why don't we say cybersecurity all the way out, Ron? Why are we just being lazy? All right, cyber. So it's cybersecurity.
Yeah,
Rod.
I don't know. I think the more familiar security gets, I think it's kind of merged anyway. It's security, cybersecurity, cyber. Who knows? Cyber is like the cool thing for the people wearing hoodies. Security is just kind of the general all up. Hey, everybody needs to be protected, I guess.
Splitting hairs.
Yeah,
First split.
it's a marketing message, right? It's just we have to get it right.
And guess who we have on? Who's absolutely the epitome of making sure that a security message gets out to market and is understood by his constituents that consume our outstanding security products. It's Ritu. Would you like to do an introduction of yourself and welcome to the show? Oh, am I on mute?
No.
Oh, would you like to go ahead and do an introduction of yourself, please?
All right, awesome. You guys can hear me, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, perfect. Awesome. Thank you for having me, and thanks for the opportunity. It's great to be part of this show. So I'm Ritu Lamba. I lead the go-to-market and strategy for security solution area at Microsoft. Been doing this role for almost 2 years, and I would say it's been interesting and challenging at the same time. That's why we are all here in the cybersecurity, right? Everybody have to be protected, and we are doing this is like, I think it ties very closely to the Microsoft mission of empowering everyone on the planet. And it's also about empowering and securing everyone on the planet. So I feel very passionate about security. Here at Microsoft for the last 16 years, I never thought I would be at Microsoft for 16 years. But here I am because of the great people and the challenges that we find at Microsoft. It just retains us. I have been in industry for last 25 years now. And interestingly, when I was like 6 years in the industry, I did my CISSP certification. And it was like, I think it was the second year when CISSP was like launched. And so went through this whole curriculum of like the book that we get, that CISP all in one book, and then gave through the test. And after that test, I'm like, I will never give any other test, because that 6-hour test at that point in time felt like a very, very long test. But here I am after 14, 15 years back in security, and it's fun. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, that was an old school test. I don't know, fortunate or one of the people that took it. You sit in a room, you tear it open, you get all these questions. Like, I think it was 300 questions at the time. You had 6 hours, and then you didn't know if you passed. You had to wait till the yellow envelope. The yellow envelope came, and it came folded up.
Exactly.
I didn't open mine for a day because I was scared, and you knew you passed, because if you open it up and behind your name you had your number, that means you passed.
Yeah.
Right? So I let it sit on my desk. Oh, I'm scared to go. Wow, that's a long time ago. So I get the pleasure of working with you quite frequently. You know, the information that comes from your team and everyone else, it comes down through CXE, GBBs, and everything else. And sometimes I take for granted how much information that comes. Like who's consolidating all this and correlating all this information that we have to do. And so I know you in your current manifestation as working with you. So I said, let me do a little research. You started at Microsoft. You were a strategic consultant around data and AI, and well, not AI, but it was a data analysis and Azure Cloud, right?
And
yes. How did you make the transition to security? I see the role stuff, but the roles titles don't tell the story that's in between the roles. How did you get to say, you know what, I'm going to do the security stuff?
Yeah, I would say I did my undergraduate in engineering. So in computer science, I did my undergraduate. And then I got hired by Tata Consultancy Services. It's like, probably you guys know, this is one of the big SI back in India. I was doing development with them. I was building an asset management application for JP Morgan Chase. And then, so I was good in dev and quality assurance and everything. But then I'm like, after like year, it was after like 18 months, I'm like, I am bored. in doing this. And I'm like, I want to go do something different. And you won't believe, I ended up with AT&T here in US doing their WAN networks. I was in the tier 4 support. At that point in time, their whole WAN network was like Lucent switches, Cisco and Lucent switches.
Mhm.
And I did my Cisco certifications at that point in time, CCIE and all that networking certification. So I spent 2 years with AT&T. That actually gave me a very good experience in terms of how you manage the networks, the WAN, the transport layer, like everything there. And I also, at that point in time, I also did my master's in computer science. And then I'm like, I want to do something. I want to learn something new. And security was hot at that point in time. Like the CISSP certification was just announced and everything. And I'm like, I want to be in security. And I'm like, how will I get into security? So the first step I did was I took that certification. The CISSP certification was to get into and proving that I can go do the security. And then I got hired by Computer Associates for driving their identity, access management, network management services for the Mid-Atlantic region. So I got the privilege to work with like some of the big customers like GSK, Cardinal Health. And I learned so many different things in those environments. You know, GSK is such a big healthcare company. And when I got hired for their identity and access management, they're like, okay, Microsoft AD is like a big nightmare for us. Like you probably remember like all the farms of the AD farms. And when you go and ask them to go and update, nobody wants to touch it. And then you realize that everybody wants to do security, but they do security in silos, right? And that was a big learning and the lesson for me. And then I got a call from Microsoft and they says, would you like to join Microsoft? I'm like, I have no clue about Microsoft. And I don't know what I will do at Microsoft. And this is, no, come have a conversation. And, you know, like you start talking to Microsofties and then you go like, oh, wow, like all the people are so smart. You just get pulled in. That's how I got pulled in. And at that point in time, it was EPG. And I'm like, okay, what am I supposed to be doing here? They're like, look, you have an amazing background. And we really need help in terms of development tools. It was Dev Tools, Visual Studio. It was like Oracle. It was, SQL Server IIS and everything. And they're like, hey, we need really the help to push this forward. And I'm like, well, you have no application strategy here. You cannot compete with Oracle. You cannot compete with IBM WebSphere because I had that background and everything. And they're like, no, that's what we need to go do. So I started in that consultancy side of the things. We used to have a role called it was an advisory kind of like enterprise technology advisor role where we go and look at like the end-to-end projects and various different things. And it was the same time we were building Red Dog. If you guys remember Red Dog, like Azure. And I'm like, I want to be part of that Red Dog thing because networking, my dev background, my background in security, my background in like the data all started coming together. And that was an amazing journey for me to like pull all these things there. So I spent time as an SSP, as a TSP in the field. And then finally I said, I'm done with sales. And my manager says,
I think Edward says that a lot too.
Yeah, my manager says, what do you mean by you're done with sales? I'm like, I looking at the spreadsheet, looking at my numbers, it no longer excites me. I need like something more to go do. So I ran the core programs for Compete. My GM at that point in said, who knows something about Azure, something about AWS? I raised my hand and I says, yes, I know. That's how I got into a global Compete program role for AWS. I ran that for a couple of years. Then I said, I want to be a business architect. And I moved into the data and AI as a business architect. Then got an opportunity to move into management, got an opportunity to run apps and infra strategy, then created the solution area for app innovation. And I'm like, what's next? So my leadership said, what about security? And I'm like, interesting. I've done it. in my past life, never done it in Microsoft. And to me, the most interesting aspect, like every role I go to, I try to learn something new. And I'm like, what will I learn something new in security? And for me, this whole aspect of M365 and how we look at security from that perspective was like, for me, was a new journey for me. So I'm like, okay, that probably I need to go and learn. I don't think I can ever get into the full side of the modern workplace, but I'm like, yeah, security gives me that bridge between Azure and M365 cloud and how we secure and how do we protect. So here I am. So that's pretty much my story. Like I try to go and look for like the areas where I can get to learn something new. It's like challenging and keeps me up on my toes, and cybersecurity at Microsoft is one of that area.
Sounds like you
And I-
like a
and
lot of
I-
variety. That's very cool.
Yeah. And I love that. And I don't think we highlight that enough. So I think it's important to kind of highlight that here because I love your mentality and your approach. We had Liz Tesh on Thursday, and it was a very similar thing where she literally identified what she wanted to do. She planted that flag, and then she said, I want to be this. And then, but your approach is, I want to be this. And then, okay, I'm going to go learn about this. And then I'm going to be that person, or I'm going to do that thing. So I don't think a lot of people, I think a lot of people maybe sometimes do that without thinking, but I think it's important to highlight that that's a very awesome approach and how you go about your different roles and the things you've done across before Microsoft and also across Microsoft, right? I want to go do that thing, and here's how I'm going to do it. That's awesome.
Yeah. I just truly believe it. Like if you develop the skills, if you learn something new and you can demonstrate, people will help you get there. Because I think earlier in my career, like as I moved to US, I'm like, I don't have anybody or like big sponsorship and things like that, right? Like you have like typically sponsors, and so I'm like, okay, I like whatever I do is based on my abilities and what can I go and deliver. And if you do like the right things, you kind of find that next opportunity. I think that's like the belief system I have. So I just keep learning.
And I think your approach, at least early on, was, hey, there's a certification for this. I'm going to go do that cert. And that's how you learned. Do you think that's, I don't know if you're too far gone from those types of roles, but do you think that's still kind of a very valid thing to do for our listeners? I want to do that thing. Maybe it's a cert, but is that the best way to get that skill set now, you think, or some other method?
I think for me, it was less about getting that skill set, but more about getting that credibility. Because like, as I was looking at roles, like it was not like, hey, I didn't have like the security knowledge and I don't understand this whole concept of like cybersecurity. But it was like, okay, when you go for those kind of like interviews, how do you prove that you have that credibility? And so CISSP certification kind of gave me that credibility, or at least like when people were looking at it and they're like, oh, you are CISSP certified, that was like a big thing. And it was like, I think when you are like early in your career, you are looking at roles, you're switching roles, and people are looking at, can we trust them? Can we take like a bet on them? So these certifications do help, at least in my career. And this is like maybe a little bit dated, but I think those things help with your credibility.
I think it's relevant today as well, because you need to showcase the experience in order to substantiate that you merit that accreditation. So for sure, 1,000%. As you spoke about doing the right things and lining up opportunities with your intention kind of deliberately set, right, with this North Star, how did mentorship tie into the bigger picture there?
Honestly, I got sponsors and I got mentors without me actually running after saying, hey, I need a sponsor or I need a mentor at like Microsoft. So I sometimes I feel like very privileged and fortunate that my leaders, my skip levels have always been there to like support me. Like as an example, I'll give you, when I moved to Corp and I was doing this AWS compete role, it was like when you are like in the field, it's like very tactical role. Even though I was running a program, it was like very tactical role, right? I'm talking to the sellers, I'm looking at the deals, I'm talking to the customers, how do we differentiate and everything. It's like day-to-day grind that you have to go to. And then at that point in time, I'm like, I need to be a business architect, which is like, okay, more strategic thinking of like, how do you think about go to market, which markets and all that other stuff. And as I was interviewing for those roles, people were like, Ritu, you are really good, but you are like very tactical. And I'm like, yeah, my role is very tactical. That doesn't put me in a tactical box, but sometimes you get those labels, right? And at that point in time, I talked to my GM and I'm like, this is my aspiration. This is what I want to go do. This is how I'm thinking. And at that point in time, I'm like, okay, I need to change this perception. And I applied for executive MBA to NYU. And my GM said, do you really want to do it? And I'm like, yes. And he actually had double MBA. So he actually spent 45 minutes with me explaining to me, what am I signing up for? Is this the right thing to do? How this will help me move my career and things like that. And I never thought like a GM will sit with me and walk. And I'm so grateful. It's like, his name is Stefan. He's like right now, I think in Germany, but he did that. And I'm so fortunate that he coached me at that point in time and helped me take that step forward. And he actually, after that, also helped me land in a business architect role as well. Right.
Nice.
So that's what I like about Microsoft, is that sometimes you get mentors and your sponsors because the people around you support you. And I think Satya these days talks about allyship. To me, this is like allyship, which
Definitely.
so like when you get these kind of advice, we should just accept it and move forward with it.
Lead with yes. Yeah, Ritu, you're a Stern graduate. I got my MBA from Stern, so I love that you like set it up and then you knocked it out of the park. So that was amazing. It's like you're an architect by trade. You're spectacular. That is incredible, and I love that you kind of framed it in terms of you didn't seek it out as though you're like, hey, look at me. You demonstrated excellence. And you commanded the attention and the interest to make sure that you were excelling and driving the business to the best of your capability. And then they created space for you to shine, which I've seen at Microsoft, but especially, in a space where you were building it out. I think that is incredible and a testament to your own abilities and foresight and magnetism, essentially.
Yeah, and I would also give credit to the people who recognize the talent, because it's also like important, right? Like, yes, I was doing everything in my power, but you also and this is why I love Microsoft and people around the Microsoft, is that, okay, when you recognize the talent, you understand, you help grow the talent, you help nurture the talent and give and create that space. So I'm really grateful for the leaders I have throughout my journey, who has been in various different shape or form, has been my mentors and my sponsor.
Yeah, you said early on, kind of with a smile, maybe a smirk, that working in security has been, or at least in your role, the different roles have been challenging. I'm the kind of person, I love challenges. I'm sure you're probably the same, because we've already talked about how you've kind of driven your own career. But how do you stay motivated? Because I know we have a lot of our audience that are in security, that a lot of times it can get super mundane. Brody is the same way. He's just like, man, I can't take this anymore. But how do you stay motivated?
Yeah. I would say, look, I'm like a regular human being. We all have like our ups and downs. There are times in the day when you go like WT, right?
Every day.
We have all those moments that we have. But I think one thing, like, yes, there are challenges. Like if you look at just like what happened last year, we had Storm 555, then Midnight Blizzard, then CSRB report. Like, our credibility was completely crushed out in the market. And at that point in time, you have two choices. just continue to do what you do, or you challenge the status quo, because we have to go do something different to earn that trust of our customers and sellers back. And that, in those kind of moments, I always look at who is my customer, who am I serving, and what is the impact I'm going to make in their life by doing my job. And that actually keeps driving me and keeps motivating me. When I do things, you may not get the results right away, but when I see, okay, even if a step forward, like how do we respond to CSRV? We put a lot of pressure internally to say, we need a response. We cannot wait for like 2 months or 3 months. We need the response. And even when you give that to like, I look at my field teams, Microsoft sales teams as my customers. And I'm like, when I give to them, I am empowering them to have the right conversations with the customers. I'm hopefully making their life simple. That's what I keep going about it, because my life is not simple, but then I'm like, okay, I'm doing the right thing because this will help us together in the long term to make the right things for our customers. So that's how I just keep going. And at times when you're frustrated, I just go and I talk to my husband. My husband has always been like my number one mentor. I just go and like whine in front of him. It was like, this is not working, that's not working. And he's like, calm down, relax. And sometimes I just take like a 5-10 minute break and then come back to it with like a fresh mind and a perspective. That helps to keep going.
I appreciate that. I don't think we talk about that as often as we should as well. Our family is the best support group that we have.
Oh yeah.
Whether it's spouses or mothers or fathers, whatever your level happens to be. But I love that you said that, because for me, my wife is that, right? I can go, I don't care what the day is. She's going to listen to me. She probably has no clue what I'm talking about, but she's still like sympathetic, right? So,
Yeah.
As usual, Rod.
Not my mom. My wife she loves giving it tough love. I come in now complaining, oh my God, this is coming out of go to market. This is not ready. Blah, blah, blah. Who did this? And like, Ruzy group.
I think you deliver the message in the style that you need to hear, the way that it's going to resonate with you most effectively, right? So
my wife comes back to me. She said, "You're a GBB, aren't you?" I said, "Yeah, GBB stands for Get Better, Brother."
That's nice.
And like,
Nice.
Well, don't talk to you anymore, because I'm not going to get a show in the crowd here. You talked about how much self-motivation that you had. What we want to amplify here is that it is Women in Cyber Month. It is about showing the impact that women have across, and it is much more prevalent than it is not where it needs to be, period. But it is much more prevalent. It's not as sparse and as scarce. And in my limited observation, it seems to be that when I meet someone in cyber, and there's a woman, it's generally I'm getting into cyber and I'm finding my way, or they're very accomplished like yourself. They're up here. What we're trying to do is find that middle ground so we can understand what that maturation process is. And oftentimes it's the lack of thereof, or if it's not working, if it is working, an abundance of sponsorship, leadership, mentorship. How is that? Because you seem to me, I've interacted with you on big conferences and privately sometimes like this right here. How do you go about manifesting that? Whereas when you say, "Hey, it's my time to get back," do you find yourself sort of galvanized to people that sort of remind you of you, and that's how you choose? Hey, come here. Let me show you, person. This is how we're going to just do this right here. Is that part of your makeup right now? Because after a while, everyone who succeeds, if you're really the person you think you are, you feel like, I need to give back. I don't know how, but I want to. How do you do that? Because I've never heard you tell anybody no. In the time I've known you, even across some of these calls, whether it's Shaba, Bill, Hyatt, I know you're interacting with Aaron. How do you give back, but make sure that you don't, put yourself at a deficit?
Yeah, I would say when I started my career, right? Like, and I talk to so many females, young in career, at the same maturity as me, or like various other levels and the journey. One thing I find that we all go through the same challenges. Oftentimes we don't talk about those challenges and the issues that we have. Like as an example, there are times when I self-reflect and I'm too critical on myself. Hey, if I have done something and I go like, I could have done it like much better. Or like when I was young in career, there was a moment when I was like struggling, and one of the senior manager came to me and says, Ritu, whenever you need help, you should reach out. And I was like, if I reach out to that person, it may feels like I am not competent enough. I can't handle it myself. So instead of reaching out to that person, I should just keep doing it, right? Because you just want to make sure that nobody will see you, that you are not able to handle something, or they want to see you doing it in a different ways and things like that. So we have always these things. And what I find, anytime I talk to like other females, I find these things are like very common. So add one thing that I would definitely try to do, whoever reaches out to me, like I share my experiences, because once I start sharing my experiences, people become like more open. And as I talk to more people, then I find, okay, they are common. And I tell you, Ed, like I find almost every female that I've talked to have like a very similar experiences like I do, but we often don't talk about it. And I would not want to say this is like just the female thing. Even if I look at my peers, I would say this is. So one thing that I try to do is be open and be transparent. Where I need help, I raise my hand these days. Like earlier in my career, I was like very hesitant to ask questions, to raise my hand. These days, when I need help, I raise my hand. These days, when I don't have the answer, I just go and say, look, I don't have the answer yet. I'll figure it out as we go along. I may need help when I do so. And I also lean in on my leaders as well. So that's how I kind of, like you said, how you don't get into that deficit. Like that's how like I try to leverage the power of people, the power of the knowledge around me to support me. But then also I support that community. Like I give back to that community by being open, transparent, and supporting others. Because like many times it's all about sharing your experiences, because people going through that same experience, if I can share something, hopefully they will learn from it. Like if somebody young in career, a senior manager reaches out to you and says, reach out to me when help, like please reach out. Don't be like me, just wait there, and if it becomes like too late. So those are like the kind of things that I try to practice.
When you are accomplished, you can be intimidating. Because you demand excellence, right? And to be able to do it. But what I'm really trying to do is just put a middle path together of love, the spirit, personalities, right? To see, and I think that's one of my superpowers. You don't have to imitate somebody exact for that. Look at what they do that that you can replicate, and then be that way as far as personal achievement and the way you go out and help people, right? I think that when I was first asked to put a podcast together, I'm like, man, everybody has a podcast. I'm not putting a podcast together. But when the offer was put in a different way, this is an opportunity to help some people, right? That they can go to and do it in it. And like, yeah, you're right, and have some fun with it at the same time. So I was thrilled that you took time to be able to come on and do this. Well, as you continue to do all these things, you said a bunch of stuff, and now I'm going to ask the question: what's next? Because you're like, I did all this. I've got this. I got this. I got this.
Well, and I think she's kind of been the barometer to showcase what is next, right? She's always the person that finds the next cool thing. What is the next cool thing?
Look,
and don't say AI.
AI for AI.
AI for AI.
AI.
Cybersecurity Foundation for AI. AI.
Yeah, exactly.
Like everything is like about AI. But I would say it's less about me defining things. I think Microsoft is redefining the world, right? We
Yeah.
are living in this fourth generation with like AI now here. I look at like cyber and I'm like, is my job in cyber is like done, or is my job in cyber is just getting started right now? Because like as people gonna go and adopt AI, the most critical and the important thing is like how I'm gonna protect this. The things that AI is now able to do, which takes hours for any threat actor has to go do, is like how are you gonna secure AI? How do you gonna make sure that it's governed and done in a right way? How do you leverage AI to drive like productivity, right? So those are like I think is the conversations that Microsoft is defining. And for us is like, okay, how do we think about this next generation, and how do we really think about like protecting and security and governing this AI technology? So for me, I still find cybersecurity, there is a lot we can go do. And this is like a new frontier for all of us. Like it's a new frontier for threat actors, and it's a new frontier for all of us defenders as well. It's like how we go and protect AI, right? So it gives us an opportunity to, how do I say, reshape Microsoft, and how do we establish our leadership in this particular space?
Yeah, you would. The more ubiquitous and the more commonplace the technology it is, in my opinion, it's harder to secure. The more obscure it is, not many people are looking at it. But now, AI is in everything that you do, from the way that my phone talks or wants to talk to me, right? I won't let it do it, to what we do at work. And now you're finding that security, why it's still specialized, it's expected now. You can't do anything without having some security expertise or thought leadership behind it, because it's prolific, and if it's out there, it's especially with Microsoft tools. Microsoft gets beats up on a lot because they're saying, "Come on, you guys are supposed to be the people that are selling us the tools." Well, think about it. It's not marketing saying that we're one of the top 3 attacked entities in the world. It's just a fact. That's what it happens. Because when you get an actor who can just go spin up a tenant and beat up on your product, you find yourself, right? That's like giving your playbook to the other team before the game, right? Now you have to come back and defend. So it is what it is. It's thing. And then you happen to be the messenger for both good and bad. I admire you for that. When things are good, it seems to be easy to stand up front, right? When you got to come back and say something.
Last week I was in Berlin, and I was talking to all the EMEA sales leaders and SCNO leaders and everything. And I'm like, my job is a truth teller. Like I basically talk to our counterparts and stakeholders and corp and says what's working, what's not working, where do we need to drive. Like, so I'm like, my job is a truth teller, and people only call me when they have problems. I'm like, how many of you have called me when things are going right? And they were like all laughing, and I'm like, how many have you called me when you're like, Ritu, I need this, and they're like, yeah, all the time. And so, but at the same time, that's fulfilling, because it's like, if you can solve problems for others, I feel like I'm driving an impact. And that goes back to the question you guys asked me, what motivates me? This motivates me because I'm able to solve problems for people. And then when I give tools to our sellers, to our leaders, they solve problems for our customers. And that's kind of like the multiplying effect.
Yeah. People, yeah. I haven't got a call in a long time. Edward, you're doing a great job. How about that?
That doesn't happen. That doesn't happen. Never.
I'll start calling you when I have time to tell you you're doing a great job, if that's going to help.
Thank you, Brody. I'll do the same for you also.
I don't want that call. It's not truthful. It's fake. But no, I appreciate, and I think for our audience, I think that's important to highlight. Just to go back a couple steps, securing AI, and then the agentic AI, which today we actually started finally talking about our security copilot agents, which will be out here shortly in public preview. But then the secure AI, we have Microsoft Secure here shortly, and we'll be talking about a lot of advancements for Microsoft Purview, which is the other side of the coin, securing AI. So I think from our audience, I think you highlighted that appropriately in that that's probably the next area for security people to kind of put their focus, because at the end of the day, it's still kind of a general security message in that if you do the needful or you do the important things that you should be doing already, and then of course using Microsoft tools to do it, then you're going to be covered. You'll at least have a really good step forward being able to secure AI, but also use AI for security.
And across our platform and any of the competitors, right? When you look at a compromise, when you do post-mortem, old school, you look at how their posture is, and you very rarely find someone who's deployed at what you could consider 100% best practice, right? Because the business of the business doesn't allow you to get it perfect. But we have to look at best effort sometimes. I'm looking at AI that the whole moniker and the way that the vernacular is going to change. I want to try to do something that beats that AI standard to take the art of possible. I find that the best people who have imagination around what we're currently seeing are people who have a very good science fiction background. You can imagine it. Like we have Vasu came on, and that was one of the best conversations because they went from practical to computer. Replicate me this. Sooner or later, we're going to be there, right? May not now, but we'll see it. But I'm waiting to when you see the term AI no longer used, you're gonna start seeing something called EI, enhanced intelligence. Because when does AI stop being artificial?
I thought it was
you can't
Edward
tell the
intelligence.
difference. That's when it stops being artificial. You won't be able to tell the difference. And you're seeing it now. Because I went and looked at an image, and if I had to bet the farm, I'd be homeless. I thought that image was absolutely real, and it was not. And being able to do it. So when you
or you're just gullible.
Where's the what?
Or you're just gullible.
Well, that's the thing. That's a trait. It will follow her. I got a bridge for sale in New York. Rave sold me that same bridge 3 times. I keep buying the bridge. I don't understand. Totally off topic. It just hit me now. So you two went to the same college. That you're alumni of the
Yes.
YU Stern School of Business. Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. We had a guest on, right? Was it the same guest? Who was the professor that came on?
Oh, no, that's Professor Zambati, and he's from Utica University. So that's master's in cyber operations. So I'm working on my 3rd master's. My MBA was my 2nd. And to Ritu's point, it's about being intrinsically motivated, and you have to be a lifelong learner, and you have to be voracious, and you have to have something that is driving you to want to accumulate knowledge, and then to have a passion to want to demonstrate that knowledge and show impact. And I think that I found my home at NYU Stern School of Business, and Ritu, it sounds like you two similarly were able to kind of take everything up to that point in your career and encapsulate it, and then be able to amplify your impact and contributions at Microsoft. So that is what, shout out to NYU Stern School of Business, because that is what they do. That's how they prepare. And then being a woman in tech as well, for me at least, Ritu, I don't know if you had that experience as well, but I felt it was a bit daunting up front. I was a little intimidated, right? Because I was basically an IT nerd going into a business program, MBA. Competition was stiff, and there were lots of folks in finance, lots of investment bankers, and to be able to show up and still demonstrate your expertise, and that it had a place in the conversation. That was part of the program, and I'm better for it, and I'm more resilient and capable from it as well.
Yeah, I think if you go through an MBA school, it prepares you in a very different way. And you're absolutely right. Like being as a I did executive MBA, so there was like classes every Friday and Saturday that I was doing while I'm working full time. And it was like the classes started with like social responsibility was like a topic, and then they were like teaching about your fiduciary duties and how you should think about sustainability and the right things. And I'm like, what the hell is fiduciary duty? Is like coming from like a tech background, like, so those were like the terminologies that you pick up. And then you go through this thing of like going through a lot of case studies and very interesting topics. Like, yes, there are like basic finance, which I had no background, and I learned some Nobel Award winning insights, like $1 today is better than $0 that you have. I'm like, wow, like whoever invented this is like great, right? So you learn new things, but then you also pick up like some interesting topics. I had a class on power and politics. And that class in power and politics was about like, okay, what are your powers? You have 3 types of powers in an organization. You are a subject matter expert. What you know, how you are, that's your subject matter power. Then you have a network power. Who do you know? Who you reach out to? Like that's your like who is part of your network and things like that. And then the third is like your positional power. So if you are like a certain position, that gives you a positional power. And so how do you use these 3 powers to navigate within an organization is critical as well. And before going through that, I never realized there are topics like power and politics, and how do you deal with like workplace politics as well. So these are like some interesting things that I definitely learned in the school. But these topics goes from gaining some subject matter expertise to making you even more more savvy as a business leader, and help you watch out things that you need to watch out around yourselves.
Well said. Yes.
Yeah.
I appreciate your bravery in saying that. There was a time that you had to go get your MBA, and I just did not want to go to business school because I thought it was going to take me too far away from my safe spot, right? And in hindsight, so I go look at masters in information tech, or masters in cyber. Now that it's prevalent, because 10 years ago, it was hard to find a good school for masters in cyber, right? And so I think a lot of those who wanted to advance their career, no problem. It's a good choice that you took something that gave you the business aspect. Because in the end, business is the business.
Well, people are part of the business, right? And so to Ritu's point, you're coming in from a certain frame of experience. So even though I personally felt intimidated by being what I felt surrounded by, like investment bankers and the finance folks, you've learned very quickly, as Ritu said, you have like leadership in organization. Humans are the most fundamental part of this equation, and building those core skills. So great, come in, you're an IT nerd. Great that your background is technology, or great that you think that you know numbers and numbers make the money. It's how are you going to convince people to give you your money? Let's start there, right? Yeah, and I think that's something special that the MBA program can help us appreciate, that you have to lead with empathy, whether or not you're generating it internally. That's something for someone else to decide. But you have to show up and demonstrate that you understand the human problem. And then be able to address that in the narrative, in the storytelling, in the truth telling.
Yeah, and taking on the GBB role, I've been lucky to have very good managers who say, Ed, you need to understand the business, right? You know how many smart people at Microsoft? A lot. But how many people understand the business? That's the differentiator, right? Understanding the mission. And you would think that would have, come easy to me being, ex-military. You get the readout. Here's the mission. Now you build up how do you execute the mission, right? Sometimes I struggle because you go back to the safe spot. I can write a 60-page KQL query with just the letters KQL. But when I got to get an MXS and then I got to start doing pipeline, you got to look at go-to-market strategy. You started scratching your bald head. I'm like, yeah, what about that? So, as we start to get close toward the back end of the show, let me ask a question. And once again, let's get back to the theme of we are women in cyber, which is women in empowerment in Cyber Month. If you had to give advice, and let's start at, I don't know what they call the different levels now. I hear people talking about start a career, you're in the midterm of your career, you're in the back of your career. Can you give me give our listeners who may have interest in joining cyber, and they're female, or may have daughters that are in it, or whomever else, some advice on how to get in, how to get to the middle, and then how to get to where you are. You know, because I heard your story, you know, and that things have changed because what you probably have done in the past, why they're still applicable, things have changed. You got to sort of change it up a little bit. So I'm a young woman. I've done the things as far as education. I may have gotten a fundamental cert. I've gotten my first job. Well, I don't want to be a homer for the show. I was about to say I just got a job at Google, but I'll say Microsoft, right? And we'll go there. So I just landed at Microsoft, and I just got an analyst role. And they thought I was really good in the field, so I just started as a PFE. What would be career path just for that person to say, now I want to become senior and then I want to become management? Just a hypothetical career path.
Look, I'm no career coach or anything, but I would say in my last 25 years experience, I learned through my mistakes, and I also learned through my experiences. And I would say one thing that I learned in my experience is that, one, you need to be authentic and you need to be true to yourself. Like, don't change to fit in someone's picture or like anything that people go and define it. Like, don't do it. And I will tell you, when I was mid in my career, and I was moving towards like the people management and things like that. I've done people management before Microsoft, but somebody said, "Oh, you're gonna move to the people management. You need to be smiling a lot." And I'm like, "What? I need to be smiling a lot? Like, what does it really mean?" Right? Like, because it's like, okay, you have to generate energy, right? That's one of the leadership principle. And I mean, like, okay, smiling a lot is like equivalent to like generating an energy, and I should be like somehow showing up differently because now I'm like a people manager. And I struggled. I struggled because I tried to fit it in some frame that was like defined for me. And then finally, after like going through that, I'm like, this is not working for me. I'm getting frustrated. People around me getting frustrated. This is not who I am. Who am I? I need to be true to myself. I'm authentic. This is who I am. Yes, people comes and tells me you're a black and white person. I'm like, I'm a black and white person. I tell people, you talk to me. I'm a direct person. I will tell you the way things are. I may not sugarcoat things, but this is like who I am, right? So be authentic and be true to yourself, because that would make you happy. That would actually help you drive more impact. So that's one thing. The second thing I would say, don't get hesitant, don't get intimidated by things, because like when we talk about cyber, people are like, oh my god, this is cybersecurity, how much depth do I need to go in? Like, as an example, I was saying, hey, I did this CISSP certification, or I did like this MBA. Like, it was like to get that credibility. But then I learned, it's like, I don't need like some stamps to prove me credible. Like, if I would have gone to people and have like open conversations and dialogues, I think people are very, very supportive in helping you shape that. So cyber is not like a very tough field, or it's like, hey, super sharp brain. Like, when you go and talk to the CISO, as an example, they're like business people, and business is all about 101. Like, there is no rocket science behind these things. And you go to and talk to the CISO, they're like, okay, I'm really concerned about risk. My organization wants to adopt tools which is like so that they can get more productive, but I'm concerned about risk and I want to make sure my organization is safe. Those are the two goals I have. Ritu, how are you thinking about these things? And the conversations I am having with CISOs is not like, how does MDO work and how do you get the responsiveness of MDO, like the deep dive things. It's a business conversation. So I truly believe we all can get started in any field that we want to, and we should not just be hesitant. We should be open and exploring and challenging ourselves. Like, if you are willing to challenge yourself, I truly believe you can achieve anything. Like, I have a 17-year-old daughter who is ready to go and venture out this summer into into her undergraduate, and I keep telling her, just believe in yourself that you can do things. You should never look back and have regret that why you didn't try it. So put on your best. Don't worry about like the outcomes. And so that's what would be my advice. Don't get intimidated. Cybersecurity is not a very hard field. If you put your head and learn the basics, you will excel in that. And finally, I would say, ask support. Don't be hesitant to reach out to people and have like candid conversations when you need help.
Yeah. One of the best mentors I have and still have at Microsoft. He said, whenever you want to present, Edward, if you really want to know that you nailed it and you believe in what you're trying to convey, give the entire presentation and don't use a single acronym. Say it all the way out. And when you can say it naturally, you don't go MDO, MDE, say it all the way out. Now you'll understand that you really care about conveying the message to your audience and not trying to prove how smart you are. So that way, because people are not going to raise their hand, what's MDE? What's MDO? What's AEIOU? You know, because they changed it. To this day, that if I'm writing, I'm not a prolific writer like these three individuals, but when I'm writing a presentation, I've got to get one ready now. That is a cognizant effort and say, do not use an acronym. Make sure that, you know, because we're all using Copilot, tell Copilot, no acronyms, right? And then I can get through it. And now it makes me slow down. Because if you ever notice when you're using acronyms, you talk too fast. You go like that, but when you slow down. So when you use a Microsoft Defender for cloud application, the tenor goes a little bit better. I'm like, okay, that's better. When I'm going now, if you're using MDCA and you connect it to the XDR and you do this, people are like, what is he talking about? What's the next section? You know, I'm going to go to the free chicken sandwich thing. I'm not going to do this, right?
Yeah.
You're right. Sometimes I get intimidated by who I think's in the crowd. Who wouldn't be intimidated? Raising the crowd, judging me when I go to conferences with her and stuff like that. There's a huge challenge with Microsoft right now about success comes with its own challenges, right? You have to craft a message that seems very confident, not braggadocious, not arrogant, but at the same time a little bit of forgiving, because we've had some challenges here. You know, this is a personal question. What is the thing that recharges you? Is it running? Is it fishing? Is it MMA? Is it video games? What is the thing that charges you back up so that you can come back to work tomorrow and go, oh my, I got to do this again? You know?
I think a couple of years back, I started running and got very regular at like the gym. And at times, I go to gym and I'm running and I'm checking my phone. So which distracts me. So I've started practicing two things. When I get up in the morning, I don't look at my phone. I don't check my emails. And I just take my mornings to myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, this is my time where I'm gonna be myself. Like if I get up in the morning and the first thing I check is my email, I'm straight into the work, and that actually brings me down. So that's one thing I've started doing. I do breakfast and then I go to gym. And also in the gym, what I've realized is at times when days like when the nights were like not so good and I run, I feel like something happens. Poof. Like all of a sudden this heat comes out of your brain and your brain feels fresh. So that's what I do. I take time in my mornings, enjoy my breakfast, enjoy my run so that I feel relaxed. So that's how I refuel myself for like the day. And the second thing that fuels me is my kids. My kids comes, gives me a hug and say, love you, mom. I'm like, I can forget anything after I have their hugs and they say love you. So I also tend to intentionally carve out some times in my evenings to spend times with my kids, because that helps me to take some of this pressure off from the work. So I take my mornings, I take my evenings. That's how I go about doing it.
I do something similar. I'm weird about it. It took years for my wife. I don't like light first thing in the morning. I don't mind. It's like if you want to listen to something, as long as there's no visual, presence to it, that's fine. And you're right. I run. Rod's a big runner. So am I. If you came up to the show a little bit early enough, Brody skis like every day. He skis in the summer. I don't know how he does it, but he's out skiing in the summer.
I would.
And Ray does everything. Ray's like a MMA kickboxer killer death fighter match person, right? Is that right? Ray?
Mostly walking, but yes.
Well, that's the same thing. You're in New York.
Vivid
You have to do
imagination.
that. If you're walking in New York, you have to be a fighter MMA killer, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you do it. I love having these guests on the show because I steal a little bit for everybody that comes on here. And I've already stole a few of your ideas and got them right here. So, and that's right. I have to find ways to recharge and not to make everybody feel good. I recharge every Monday at 5:00 because I get these guys and we have a good time and we laugh.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Nobody takes each other
That's that
seriously.
GBB right there. That's platinum. You're like in the final takeaway is that I really am most refueled by this experience. That's why you are where you're at. That was good. That was great.
All right, the check's in the mail. Ray, stop. All right, it's in the mail. You got your hat. What? I didn't get my hat. So
Your Tinkus hat, it's on its way. It's on its way. It'll be
yeah, I'm looking over there. I got all your stuff on. I sent your stuff on time. I don't have my hat.
Yeah.
Bro, you won't get your hat.
Can I share one other thing? Like
Oh, of course.
I think the other piece I would like to share with like everyone, it's very important for you to take a time off. And when you take that time off, not worry about the work. Because what I used to do is like you have your phones, which is keeps you on all the time, your Teams, your Outlook messages, and everything. A couple of years back, what I started doing is if I'm off from work, or if I'm on vacation, or if it's like Saturday or Sunday, I put like the personal mode on my phone, which basically hides all my Outlook email, all my Teams email. And I just go and enjoy that, because when you open your phone and you see this number
I
of
got you.
600 emails on your team messages, 600, like the first instinct you're always going to have is, can I open and see what's going on? And my other learning is that if you're taking time off from work, spend that time on yourself, on your family, whatever is most important. Don't spend it on work. When you come back, work will still be there.
Yeah.
Well said. Well said. Couldn't agree more. You got to have a balance. It's
I
highly
think-
important.
It took me years. I spoke at a high school here not too long ago, and I find myself not being able to figure out what the relationship was with the younger folks. I don't know what they call that generation, the millennials, and then I'm old as dirt. And I say the same thing about this phone. I come up with an analogy, and just so happened I was scrolling the TV and I saw an old movie. It was aliens. So I said, think about this phone as an alien. It jumps on your face and it has you. It will not let go until you have it, right? So don't let the face grabber, face hugger get on you. And I do it. I put it on. I put this thing up. It goes somewhere. And because if you let it jump on your face, you're done. You can't get it off your face. It's on your face. And then it will make you adopt the habits of those who do not know how to do self-care. And we're all guilty of it. And it happens. Some days you just have to, but when you don't have to, don't do it. So once again, my relaxation is every Monday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Red Cup Security. Yay! Red Cup Security. Thank you to our sponsors, Lager. There you go. Any closing words you'd like to have for us? Any words of wisdom? Oh, you forgot to read the fine print. Whomever comes on the show has agreed in the fine print that you have to come on as a host.
I'm happy to be. It's like really fun to be and having those conversations with you all. So thanks for having me. And I would say security is the best place to be. Don't be intimidated by security. There are a lot of great people who can help you. Like if you are looking to have your career in security, please reach out. If you are in security and you're looking for help in how to navigate, you want to have the conversation, I'm happy to have like any conversations people want to have, or like reach out to your leaders, right? That's the beauty about, like, as I said, the reason I'm here for the last 16 years at Microsoft is because of two things. Is because of the people and because of like the work, the challenging work that we get. So don't be afraid. And I would say, if you put your head to something, you will get it done. So just believe in yourself.
That's
Yes,
awesome.
absolutely. And thank you so much again. We really, really, really appreciate it. As we continue on Women in Cybersecurity Month. See, I said it all the way too. Not women in
You
cyber.
did.
There you
Yeah.
go. Practice what you preach. We are going to come to the grand finale of our outstanding month, where we have an all-day event where we do our
March
roundtable.
31st, starting at 9 a.m. Eastern time. We'll actually be on camera all day.
Wow.
So let's just see with our audience how many can come join and stay on with us, or laugh at us when we have to go
Everybody's
the
trying
restroom.
to
Maybe
make a
break,
coffee
who
break.
knows?
We will have ongoing and rotating coverage to accommodate everybody's schedule. We'll see who actually working during the day and who's not. Brody. We'll see. Thanks, everyone. We will see you Monday, March 31st, starting at what time, Rod? What time?
9 a.m. Eastern time. I think to like it was 2:30 or something like that.
And
So
this is in
it's a long
conjunction
day.
with the Microsoft Reactor team at Microsoft. Thank you so much for collaborating with us to be able to help us close out Women in Cybersecurity Month. Until next week, I see everyone. Yes, Noodle, that is EST. That is the only time zone, sir. Noodle. There you go.
Take care, everyone.
Thanks,
All
everyone.
right. Have a
Thank
great
you.
week. Thank you, Ritu.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ritu.